Hi, I'm Colby. I like Miss Blue's room because one side of the room might be desks and tables you can sit on the windowsill, and then on the other side of the room there's beanbags and bungee chairs and bouncy balls, and in the middle there's a little table, and sitting in each one of the spots you get a different point of view from each part of the room, and you get to see different attributes about what she teaches and how she teaches it.
Hi everybody, my name is Sue Blue and I teach 7th grade social studies at Henry Berger Junior High, and I have tried flexible seating this year and am loving it. And I've tried to partition the room into these different clusters to give kids some privacy to collaborate in small groups, but also the flexibility to have a more open setting as well. I've just tried to utilize the furniture in the room to create these little cubby sections. You'll notice the pads on the windowsill. Those are two seating areas for kids where they can actually even kind of stretch out up there if they'd like to. That's very popular for reading. I actually have the kids assemble in and kind of sit in the center on the larger carpet, and we give instructions, kind of just start the class, go over the objective, unpack the objectives for class today. Kind of arrange the seating in my room in kind of like a high, a medium, and a low. So there's several seating options on the floor, then some of the traditional desks a little bit higher, and then the taller coffee table area for kids that like to stand or sit up a little bit higher.
Hey, my name's Caden. The thing I appreciate most about Miss Blue's room is how when you're in other classes all day, you sit in hard seats, but then when you get in her room, it's nice and comfortable. Like when I sit in the beanbags, I feel nice and relaxed.
Now, when I designed this, there's a lot of research out there. There's a lot of really nice examples on places like Pinterest and Instagram. There's also many professional articles. Now, when it comes to the flexible seating, on the positive side, it's very engaging and motivating for the kids. They really love it. They enjoy it. It's very comfortable for them. I was worried that they would all come in and they'd find their favorite areas and they would fight over, for example, the beanbag chairs. To be honest, I really have not had that problem at all. The first student to walk in the room this year, believe it or not, was very hesitant to touch any of the furniture, and they actually went over to the desks and sat in a regular desk and kind of sat there frightened looking, like, am I supposed to do this or move around in this furniture? Kids have been arranging and rearranging the space to suit their needs. So if I have kids collaborate on a project, they'll move a beanbag chair, they'll share items, and they'll really kind of create even different settings than I've created here for them. And even though I was very mindful to create settings for collaboration in the room, they've really reached into that high level on Danielson where they're using their environment and moving and rearranging things and manipulating it to suit their own needs and for their own growth. And that's all I heard about on open house was how the kids came home and they talked about it, and I wasn't expecting that, but a vast majority of the parents talked about how their child came home and just loved the seating options and how they felt comfortable with it. I did, being mindful and trying to predict what might happen, how to address problems proactively, I did come up with a system to have kids kind of share and utilize the space so that everybody would get a chance at the different seating arrangements. So I made almost like a punch card kind of thing, where I divided the number of seats available by length of time. And so, for example, since I have 3 beanbags, within this length of time, they would get 3 chances to sit in the beanbag section. 2 bungee chairs, they would have 2 punches for bungee chairs. And so once their punches were up for that particular area, they had to find a seat somewhere else. This year, to be honest, I have not had to use that at all. I mean, we started out with it, talked to the kids about it, and ended up not even having to use that because they've been great. They've been sharing, they've been accommodating to each other. The only area that I have kind of seen where the seating does run into a little bit of a problem is things like testing and state exams, that kind of thing. We talk about good academic posture, and that what you're using the beanbag chair in class is different than if you're at home watching TV or reading. That's definitely a more relaxed setting. We want you to be comfortable and relaxed here, but your number one goal is always learning. So you're using that as a tool to help facilitate your learning, and they've been great about that. One thing that I did do is before school started, another way to be proactive is I had my own 2 kids come in and we made a video of how to act and how not to act with the furniture. And so the kids watched that as part of a flipped homework assignment and just as an introduction to what flexible seating is. And just like anything else, you're definitely going to want to have boundaries, and you want to be able to educate the kids first on how the proper use is and how you're using this as an aid, as a tool to help you be a better learner. This book here, our district has readily available, and it's got a really easy format to look through, and it's also got a lot of different ideas. It's an easy read, and I would definitely recommend it if you're thinking about going with flexible seating. You really should be mindful of not having too much decoration around the room, because you don't want kids to be distracted by it. Limiting your wall space and decorating, I actually have a little bit too much, but I do have a lot of student work. We've got some artwork over there that's really nice. It kind of gives the room a softer feel. I guess they're saying that you should be mindful of a lot of glossy posters, which you gotta, I guess, take it with a grain of salt too, because some kids like that stuff and, they do find it comforting, but on the other hand, you don't want to be overly stimulating to them. Another thing too that's very helpful that I find is that if you want to limit the movement around the room to appropriate levels of movement, what I've tried to do is to keep clusters of materials for them as well right within their reach. So for example, every station that I have, if it's like the window station or the floor, I have clipboards available for the kids. There's kind of like a central location there for things like crayons and markers, colored pencils, stuff like that. The headphones are over there. I've also got some yoga mats on the floor for kids that don't necessarily like to, they want to be on the floor, but they want to at least have a little bit in between them and the carpet.
Hi, I'm Lauren, and I love Miss Blue's room because it gives you freedom from just sitting in desks and having a seating arrangement. And I used to teach yoga in the morning because she had these mats that you could lay out on the rug, and I took one out and just started stretching, and then everybody started following along.
So every section has textbooks, or it's very centralized. If you have a text that you want to disperse out to the kids, it's kind of right within their reach. But you do want to have some appropriate movement too, because that's one of the things that motivated me to do this, is because kids said we want to be able to move in the classroom. And if you can give them an appropriate outlet to move, it's definitely better than they're going to find an inappropriate way to do that. So this has worked really well for me. One thing though, it is expensive. I got started myself, so I purchased this furniture on my own. My principal, Greg Lang, was great. He gave me a couple of stools to start out with, and he's been very supportive. But I just went to garage sales. I got a lot of things at local big box stores. For me, I'm loving it, and I think the students are too, and I would be happy to talk to anybody if you have any more questions. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Lucas. I love the setup in Miss Blue's room because whenever you're on the yoga balls and you're just stressed out, you can just bounce up and down for a while, and then it calms you down.